Welcome back to Home Gym Hacks and Reviews and the fourth installment in my video series where I list which pieces of home gym equipment I sold and how much I got for each piece. I'll also talk about selling the Nautilus compound curl machine for the first time, and I'll tell you what's next for Home Gym Hacks and Reviews. I'm going to start with a big one. I sold the Nautilus 2ST Super Pullover. I got that machine a few years ago from Fitness Equipment Empire, and with shipping it cost me $3,450. I knew I wouldn't be able to get top dollar for it because the seat was broken, it was missing one of its plastic covers, and although it was in good condition, it wasn't in great condition. I listed it for $1,850, and that's exactly what I got. I thought it was going to be a difficult machine to move because it weighs over 600 pounds, but the guy who got it from me came out here with a box truck that had a lift gate. We tilted up one end of the machine and he pushed a pallet jack underneath of it, jacked it up, and then dragged it across my gravel driveway. It actually couldn't have gone any more smoothly. And now I've replaced that machine with this exercise, and while it's not as good as a Nautilus pullover, it works just fine for me. I covered the topsy-turvy experience I had when I bought the ab core in my review. This was another piece I got from Fitness Equipment Empire, and with shipping it cost me $14.15. Safe to say I was never truly satisfied with this machine, and I knew I was going to take a loss. After marking it down a few times, it finally sold for $340. Next up, I sold the Concept 2 Ski Erg with stand, which I bought for about $1,100, and Rower Model D, which I bought for about $1,000. I ended up selling them both together, and after marking them down a few times, they went for $1,300. I was really glad to hear that they were going to a wrestling team because I wrestled in high school, and if you watched my most recent video, I explained those two pieces of equipment were just not getting used. I sold two of my last remaining Titan Fitness products. First up, the single leg squat roller. I bought that for $120 and I ended up selling it for $70. The guy who bought it from me asked if I had any strength bands that I wasn't using, so I hooked him up with a bunch free of charge. All the way back in 2021, I bought the Titan Fitness Tibia Dorsey machine for like $140. I ended up selling that for $70. At one point in time, I had over 30 Titan Fitness products. Now I'm down to just the seated leg curl leg extension machine and this discontinued dumbbell shelf. As you may know, most of my equipment is Powertec, but it was time to say goodbye to quite a bit of it. And once again, I'll start with a big one. I sold the lever gym along with the pec fly attachment to a lifelong friend for $775. I sold the Powertec leg press attachment, dip, preacher, lat pull down attachment, and the attachment organizer all together. Originally, I listed them at $700, but I couldn't find a buyer until I marked it all the way down to $400. Luckily, it went to a really cool family who did recognize me, and they got a really good deal because all of those pieces together totaled over $1,700 when they're not on sale. I knew I wouldn't be able to get a good resale price for the VKR because I removed the pull-up bar with a hacksaw. Originally, I had it listed for $200, but ultimately had to sell for $100. The Sissy Squat was next. The same guy who got the Titan single leg squat roller and bands also got this piece. I sold it for $80 after marking it down quite a few times until I finally found the buyer. I sold the Powertec leg extension leg curl attachment for $100, half of what I paid for it, and I sold my Powertec bumper plate set for $400. Originally, I had it listed at $700, but this was another piece that I had to mark down again and again until I could find a buyer. Probably the biggest steal in this equipment sell-off was for the Powertec Roller Smith machine. I listed it at $700, but couldn't find a buyer until I marked it all the way down to $250. Luckily, it went to a firefighter, which made me really happy. But just like when I sold the Ironmaster IM2000 with all of the attachments, I have just found that Smith machines don't have a good resale value on Marketplace unless you're selling one of the old school Cybex Smith machines. It was a tough decision because I had the Powertec Streamline Functional Trainer with the plate stack in this gym from almost the beginning, but I ended up selling it to one of my wife's really good friends, along with the Mad Spider dumbbell hooks, Angles 90 grips, and 1211 squat wedges for a total of $520. I sold the Powertec leg press, compact leg sled, and multi-press to one of my best friends who I've known since high school for a total of $1,600. He obviously got a very good deal. It's almost as if he bought the leg press and then the sled and the multi-press were thrown in for free. He's buying this equipment for his son to get him into weightlifting, and I can't think of a better place for my equipment to go. I sold a bunch of banners from Rogue, Rep, Ironmaster, and Fringe Sport for $70. It was probably well over $300 worth of banners, but I just couldn't see myself hanging any of those up in my present garage gym. And I sold a Body Solid compact weight tree, which normally sells for $80 for $40. It's also worth mentioning that I gave my neighbor, who is a state trooper, the Gazelle, the RitFit leg extension, RitFit bumper plates, and the Coben Fit lateral raise attachment for free. If you've seen those reviews, you know why, in good conscience, I couldn't sell any of that equipment. And now for the big one, the Nautilus compound bicep curl machine. It's taken me a while to talk about this because I am so unsettled about the way everything went down. Some people will say that this is just business, but this isn't the way that I conduct business. I originally listed the machine at $7,000, which I thought was a fair price because many people told me that I could get $10,000 for it. It was a tough decision to sell the bicep machine because it was given to me by my dad, and it is one of the most rare bodybuilding machines that there is, but it was aggravating my golfer's elbow, and I'll explain in just a second why I needed the money. Well, someone who supported my social media accounts online and who I in turn supported theirs reached out and offered me $6,000, which I accepted. The very next day, he had a friend come out and pick up the bicep machine. We loaded it into the back of a U-Haul, and everything went smoothly. Unfortunately, the next day, I learned that he flipped the machine for 3 times what he paid me for it, again after talking me down $1,000. I should have known that something was up when he and his friend said, "Don't put anything about this online. We just want this for our personal collection." Again, to most, this is just business, and I completely understand that. I have a lot of emotions wrapped up into the bicep machine. Unfortunately, I didn't see the post from this other guy who was offering between $15,000 and $20,000 for the bicep machine that I had. And if any of the people I support online found themselves in this situation, I wouldn't try to make money off of them. I would have contacted them and say, "Hey, I see this guy who's offering a lot of money for this particular machine. If you want to sell it, here's who to go to." Now, for anyone who's thinking I make a lot of money on these videos and stuff like this comes out in the wash, unfortunately for a channel my size, I really don't. For example, for this bicep machine video, after 2.5 years and nearly 23,000 views, I've made just over $100. And I put a lot of hours into recording and editing that video. That's why it is so greatly appreciated if you find any of my videos helpful or at least entertaining that you use one of my affiliate links. I did take some pretty big losses, but equipment just isn't going for a lot on Marketplace right now. But I also gave my friends some really good deals, and I wanted things to move quickly. It took me about a month to move everything. The bonus room above the garage is now completely empty, and I'm not sure if I'll ever bring equipment back into this space. These walls have been dinged up pretty badly from bringing equipment in and out of here, and when that Rip Fit machine bent, I put a massive gash in my sheetrock. What was first the Iron Master gym and then the Powertec gym is now my office. My wife says it looks like a dorm room, but I love it. And behind me within this closet is my prize CD collection, mostly with music from the 90s and 2000s. Like the bonus room, I'm not sure if I'll ever have equipment in here again. My walls and floor have a few dings in them from using this as a gym. If my calculations are correct, the grand total for everything I sold comes to $13,940. But keep in mind that is not all profit because it doesn't take into account what I paid for the equipment over the years. And nearly half of that figure is from the sale of the bicep machine. And I will mention I did give my dad nearly $900 to bring that machine to me because getting it out of his basement and garage was no easy task. And as soon as I sold it, I gave him another $500. And it was awesome to get this chunk of money, but it is already gone because I've had quite a few major expenses come up, which I'll mention at the end. So why would I continue to sell off all of my equipment if I like, promote, and use it? Well, as I've mentioned, if I didn't do this, this channel would have ended 3 or 4 years ago. Secondly, even if it's only temporary, now that I have less equipment, I feel like I have greater freedom. So if my wife and I want to pack up and move, that will be much easier. With that said, I do have a new review coming from a company that I've never worked with. Thirdly, my wife has had some medical stuff come up. Nothing catastrophic, but certainly expensive. And one of the things that I had to do for her health was encapsulate our crawl space, which cost me over $13,000. So hopefully you see now why I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't aware that someone was offering so much money for the Nautilus bicep machine. And one of my dogs is having some pretty serious health issues, and those vet bills are adding up. Lastly, my training style and training philosophy has changed quite a bit over the course of preparing for my upcoming bodybuilding show, but that is a topic for another video.